New chat overlay. Kershaw streams at 3. Jim is streaming today. I had more articles than I have ever had yet. Let's get to it. Okay. Fighting climate change, Trump's supplying minerals for energy transition report. Now, this came out of Copenhagen, which I trust as far as I can throw it. But the long and short of it is, the common people are like, yeah, let's go for the environment stuff. And then the instant you ask them, okay, how, they kind of lock up and stuff. And it's just like, oh, mining is bad. Mining is dirty. It's like, motherfucker, where do you think all those energy critical minerals are going to come from? All right. You want to care about the environment, something has to give. You can't have everything. And I don't know. It's the trust and like score for selected global industries like retail, chemicals, automotive. The metals mining industry is like puttering there with banking and telecoms. It's just like, what can you do? Yeah, as much as we rag on ESG shit and stuff, it has permeated the public consciousness and stuff, and there's really no getting around the perception of like, ooh, mining's evil. It's like, ooh, oil and gas. It's like, it's like, oh, fuck off. Seizing and die. Sufficiently. uh, okay, took me a second to get that one. No regulation. No one gives a shit. All right, fuck off with this. Oop, I almost forgot. Okay, so most of us have already seen this year. So long story short, Twitch went retarded, and they've backtracked not even 2 days later on their sexual content policy. And we've all been following this, and we all know how it was going to pan out. I don't think the stupidity of this year has reached the zenith yet. And I don't know. What I just had to comment on it. Okay, this one's got my attention. 5 coal companies sue the province of Alberta for $8 billion. Now, yeah. So I've mentioned in the past that not all areas, like either countries or provinces or states or whatever, like not all districts are the same when it comes to being accommodating for certain industries. In this case, Alberta is the oil and gas place. So when it comes to any other geology thing, either like base metals, precious metals, or hell, even in this case, coal, uh, there's more incentive for oil and gas and less for everything else. And a bunch of coal companies in Alberta said, fuck you guys. This is like obstruction of our business and all that shit. And yeah, like the province said last year, is expanding its restrictions on all new coal exploration and development activities on the eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains until it finalizes new land policies and stuff. And of course, the coal companies are like, we want to mine now, and that's all it's coming down to and stuff. So like the legislation, the litigation has started and stuff. So I'm kind of curious. I'll probably be keeping an eye on this if it crops up in the news again to see how it pans out. I'm not going to hold my breath, given that oil and gas is the be all end all in Alberta. So I'm kind of rooting for them. Again, I'm from Nova Scotia, and we have a coal mining history there. So I'm kind of rooting for the coal guys in this one. Okay, so this is a bit of a follow up on the shadow oil tanker fleet out of Venezuela. The Marshall Islands shuts down insurer of dark fleet oil tanker. So the Marshall Islands is one of the most popular flag states for oil tankers. Has shut down an insurance company that has been offering insurance service to oil tankers, part of the growing dark fleet that skirts sanctions that carries Russian, Venezuelan, or Iranian oil. So uh, this insurer like was insuring all of these dodgy under the radar oil tankers and stuff, and then the powers of beef kind of cracked down on that, which is understandable because embargoes, dangerous proceedings, and all that jazz. Looks like Indonesia's Navy said earlier this week the cargo of the Liberty was being removed. That was the one that was the oil tanker that ran aground the other week. Yeah, it looks like Panama, Marshall Islands, and Liberia are coming under pressure from the West to boost the monitoring of vessels, or in this case, not insuring them, or pretty much like the read the United States. The United States is cracking down on these guys, saying like, "Look, play ball, or else we're not gonna play nice with you." And of course, Daddy U.S. But it looks like the U.S. putting pressure on these guys is kind of like, okay, yeah, looks like the quote unquote embargo is actually having an effect at this point, or at least in this particular instance of slapping the insurance company with the stop doing this shit. Okay, I kind of commented on this in the past, and but it's just like more of the same. ESG managers see big oil's climate pledge as insufficient. Many big oil firms have pledged a reduction in scope 1 and 2 emissions. ESG fund managers find the latest oil and gas decarbonization charter overdue and lacking in ambition because the Saudis said, no, we're going to soften the language. And this isn't binding anyway, as it does not address emissions from the products of oil firm sales, the so-called Scope 3 emissions. ESG managers and investors who spoke to routers on the sidelines of COP28 in Dubai said business as usual is no longer an option for big oil. We'll see about that. Everyone knows about Somalia's pirates, but Southeast Asia is a hotbed for that shit as well. Actual good news. Yeah, it's not going to stop them. It's just, like the oil tankers are still going to continue and stuff, but they're just not going to be insured. So it's going to be a little more dodgy for them. But then again, these fuckers are running aground and, piracy and all that shit and whatnot. So whether they want to risk their boat and cargo and crew uh, without insurance, that's going to be a different matter. Yeah. So the long and short of this here is that the ESG death cult is pissing and moaning that the what came out of COP28 didn't go far enough. So like John Kerry, Al Gore, and that crew are still pissing and moaning and stuff, and that's all it is. But that was to be expected. Okay, this one's interesting. Libs face narrative collapse after a Supreme Court accepts case that could demolish entire basis for January 6 persecutions. The U.S. Supreme Court on Wednesday agreed to hear an appeal from a January 6 Capitol riot defendant, which will highlight a law used to charge hundreds of people in connection with that fateful day. Okay, the case will decide whether defendant Joseph Fisher can be charged under the 2002 law, which stemmed from the Enron collapse, which makes it a crime to obstruct or impede an official proceeding, like pulling a fire alarm to delay a vote. The law has been invoked against Trump with 327 Capitol riot defendants, which appeals court said the government could continue to invoke. Yeah, so what they're getting these guys on is the obstruction or impede to if an official proceeding, because Congress was in session at the time of the protest. So that's what they're being drummed up in charges for. Yeah, so it looks like the appeals court and the Supreme Court are having a back and forth on this here. And the defense attorneys have argued that such broad interpretation could put many otherwise law-abiding activists at risk of felony charges, which Judge Gregory Kansas agrees with. Yeah, so if you were to like run a protest like outside your city hall and stuff, and it would like stop them for like a second or something, they could get you on this obstruction of their sitting session and stuff. And it's so really broad, and yeah, so they're looking to get rid of this here shit. And of course, the Democrats who are to this day still have people in jail for January 6th are just like, kind of pissy about it. So, fuck them. I don't know. I'm kind of hopeful. I'm kind of hopeful that there gets overturned and hopefully progress can be made with the January 6th crew, but I'm not holding my breath on that. Okay, back to academia. To carry on from the fallout of the congressional hearing the other week, let's see. The Awakening. Donors are finally seeing the radicalization of American higher education. Now, all this is kind of just reiterating what we've covered before, in that the showing at the congressional hearing and the fallout of that little shit show of the it's like, do your policies permit protect against anti-Jewish stuff? It's like yes or no. And of course, none of them answered. And then backlash. One of them got fired, but the other one, another one's still around. But at the end of the day, stuff is probably going to happen because a shit ton, I mean a shit ton, of their budget comes from donors, and in this case, a lot of really rich Jewish, like donators and alumni. So this is like a really big black guy, in that a lot of Jews pay a lot of money to these universities, and now suddenly it's like, oh, we're going to pull out all of our shekels and see how you do after that. And a lot of them are running damage control right now, and it's fucking hilarious. Yeah, it's just more of the same. But this is just a comment that uh, the ball is rolling, and I'm kind of curious to see what's the next domino is going to fall. Oh, this shit. Okay, so studios to urge Congress to take up site blocking legislation more than a decade after legendary Hollywood Silicon Valley showdown. AKA, this is in reference to the SOPA PIPA act they tried to pass back in the day. President Gay will have to bend over for Jews. Uh, you won't mind. And that President Gay is really, really fucking ugly looking woman. Let's see, top executive, blah. So pretty much the MPA and all of their butt buddies are trying to push new versions of SOPA and PIPA to crack down on the internet. And it's like, oh, this piracy shit and all this streaming services and blah blah blah. It's like, motherfuckers, uh, you are the problem, not the pirates. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere and stuff, but this isn't getting nearly as much press as Soap and Peepa got, so who knows? Back to Boston. Okay, Boston boondoggle. Sanctuary City may grant voting rights to non-citizens for local elections. So again, Boston, here's his neck of the woods, want to allow illegal migrants, illegal immigrants with no ID to vote. So this is business as usual for the Democrats. Vote early, vote often. But it looks like there's some pushback from the electorate. It seems to be this actually made the news cycle in the area, and people are starting to get a little pissy about it. So I'm kind of rooting for the people of especially the first generation, like the proper legal immigrants. We've seen this a million times. Proper legal immigrants fucking hate illegals. Like they fucking hate them. So I imagine there's a lot of local interest groups of like first or second generation immigrants are just like, yeah, no, we don't like this here. Fuck off. So fingers crossed. Okay, this one's starting to get into Terminator territory. Pentagon seeks EMP weapon to eliminate drone swarms. Now, this is not going to be like a complete spherical burst. They're putting out a contract. So what they're doing here is they're putting out a contract for a directed EMP strike capabilities to take out drone swarms. I don't know how feasible that is, but I'm not an engineer or a physicist, so I'm kind of optimistically curious to see how this here contract goes out. But again, it's an EMP weapon, and actually, I'm going to talk about EMP later on in the later article and stuff. But this is war technology, so I find it interesting. Okay, so this is going to be the first of many COVID-19 articles, which is completely coincidental that there was what got me a strike on YouTube. It's just a coincidence that a shit ton of these articles going forward are about COVID-19 and the gene therapies. But I digress. Okay, final batch of Pfizer documents released by FDA. Now, for those who don't know, Pfizer, Moderna, and like everyone, like all the pharmaceutical companies, really dragged their feet on publishing this shit because obvious reasons. But they were slowly dragging it out, and they got hit with a shit ton of lawsuits to like, all right, speed it up, release the shit. So it looks like finally everything's been released, at least for Pfizer, as far as their data goes. But of course, we already know a lot of this shit. Like FDA released final batch of documents. It relied upon licensing Pfizer's combination COVID-19 vaccine for ages 16 and up more than 800 days after the agency approved the shot. It's like, yeah, well after the fact, the agency knew a safety monitoring system was not sufficient for assessing the link of heart conditions. In this case, this is the VERS, like the vaccine reporting system. Let's see. FDA knew safety monitoring not sufficient. FDA memo and 51,893 pages of disclosures specifically addressing the agency's CBER Sentinel initiative and its ability to evaluate the risk of myocarditis and pericarditis following COVID-19 vaccination. So, it's like, okay, well, they can't report on it if we don't give them the option to kind of thing, which is really scuzzy. That's what that was. Cardiac disorders higher in vaccinated trial group. No fucking shit. Cardiac conditions were reported as a cause of death in 9 participants 25 to 128 days after having received at least one dose of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. Yep, we've heard this before. So the long and short of it is, this year is just drawing attention to the fact of they were much like the Kennedy assassination, they were hoping to drag their feet on it until everyone who was involved was dead of the shit they've done. So I imagine there's probably there. Well, I'm going to cover this in some articles coming up, but we'll see. One little detour before getting back into the vaccine shit. Ford CEO says video of stuck Cybertruck was not intentionally staged for PR purposes. So the Cybertruck, there was a video on Twitter. The Cybertruck got stuck, and then a Ford pickup came by and changed it out. But this here got retweeted by the CEO of Ford. So and now they're coming out saying This totally, legitimately wasn't a publicity stunt. I just find this funny. Whether or not it was a publicity stunt or not, the fact that he retweeted it uh, kind of puts a little water to dampen whatever, what's the word I'm looking for? Plausible deniability they may have. I would have just not commented and let the algorithm do his thing. It would have probably gone viral anyway. You didn't have to make it a little obvious there. Okay. I don't know if the last article is around here somewhere, or if I covered it, or if I covered it before. But Japan's looking to put out a self-replicating gene therapy, which I am really dodgy on. But with this one here, 70% of deaths from Pfizer's vaccine in Japan reported within 10 days of jab. So, causation not equal, cause and effect shit and stuff. But, 70% is nothing to sneeze at. That's a significant number, and maybe might have something to do with this experimental gene therapy you pumped into everyone. Call me crazy. The percentage of reported cases that experienced death within 10 days after vaccination was 71% in group 1 and 70% in group 2. Largely affected groups over 65s. Yep. Okay, yeah, 60 yeah, group 1 was over 65s and group 2 was the youngins. And but still, the fact that the breakdown was 71 versus 70%, not much of a spread. Going over the differences, breakdowns of the statistics in line with the vaccine death in the US. Okay, in this case, this is the VERS reported 18,188 deaths from COVID 19 vaccinations through September 29th, 2023, with 1,150 deaths occurring in the same day as vaccination. That there is fucking scary. Imagine getting a shot and you're dropping dead. And these here numbers kind of scare me. Now this is U.S. data, not Japan data. So in addition, 2,040 miscarriages, 9,053 heart attacks, 17,433 permanent disabilities, 5,057 myocarditis pericarditis cases, and 36,184 severe allergic reactions were also reported. Motherfucker, that's scary. Numbers. We got a bunch more coming up. Doo, 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 doo. Detour into clown world. Florida high school fined for letting boy play on female sports team. Now, Florida's cracked down on the tranny shit, especially in the schools and whatnot. And a lot of school districts and schools are trying to pull a fast one on them, and they're getting caught and reported and fined out the ass, because that's all these people understand. Florida high school has been fined for letting a boy who claimed he's a girl play in the female sports team. We've seen this a million times. I'm not going to go too far into it, but it's just another a point of data that they are still trying to pull this shit. And at least in Florida, Florida man together strong. They're saying no to this shit. So I imagine we're going to still be hearing shit like this here for the foreseeable future. Okay, back to the COVID shit. Most of the world was against me. I have yet to hear this guy's name, and I can't pronounce it. Okay, Dvorak says he's not anti-vaccine but pro-freedom Jews. So okay, so Novak here uh, was back when the lockdown started. A lot of sporting events got interrupted, especially international sporting events and stuff. And when the vaccination requirements got voluntold to everyone and stuff, this guy was public enemy number one because he said no. And now that things are kind of quieting down, he's still trumpeting that like he's not anti-vax, he's just pro-choice. Funny where I've heard that before. It's like my body, my choice, as long as you are of the correct opinion. But I digress. I don't know. It's just like a blast from the past that this guy's still kicking and still standing his ground, and good for him. Okay, and less heartening news. Biden scores win as Supreme Court throws out federal COVID-19 vaccine mandate cases. Now, with this here, there was a bunch of cases. Uh, okay, long story short, when the gene therapy came online, uh, every government on the face of the planet legislated that you can't sue the pharmaceutical companies for anything that happens to you because we tell you to. But a lot of cases still went through the system anyway. Good for them for trying, but apparently in the Supreme Court on December 11th threw out three cases involving federal COVID-19 vaccine mandates, handing a win to President Joe Biden and his administration. Let's see. Yeah, one was from the military. I remember that one. Yeah, so it looks like most of these cases were the military ones specifically because uh, the federal government mandated the military services. Is like, okay, you have to take the vaccine or else we're going to dishonorably discharge you and you're going to lose out all your benefits and be fired. And I think they're probably going to appeal, and there's probably going to be more cases, more instances of people trying to legislate and sue back for back pay and their jobs and shit. And I'm rooting for them, but okay. So back to the Ivy League shit. I am angry. Black scholar who says Harvard president plagiarized her work is livid as fifth example emerged. Now I covered before that President the gay here, plagiarized her doctoral thesis and a bunch of other papers, and I think it was like up to four instances of plagiarism and stuff, and now it looks like there's a fifth case of fifth incident of plagiarization, and of course, and it looks like the chick who got plagiarized is also a black lady and is very pissed about it. I rarely get angry, but I'm angry right now about racial double standards that are temporarily giving Claudine Gay an opportunity to resign. White progressives created her, and white progressives are protecting her. The rest of us have to work hard, rear ends off to get anywhere. I was like, yep, I expected better from Urkel. She looks like a really cracked out Urkel. But if I'm being honest, that's an insult to Jaleel White. Jaleel White is good folk. He's one of the rare actors I don't hear shit about when it comes to clown world. He keeps himself and does work. So good for him. Plagiarizing up beyond a few paragraphs. Whole research agenda. Whole career is based off of my work. I would be pissed too. I would be pissed too if someone went copy and paste on all my shit. Yeah, so it's pretty much just like a back and forth and just raising hell. And I'm like, you go, you fight the good fight. One down, two to go as far as the presidents of the Ivy Leagues go. Okay, back to COVID. Just I reiterate. I add all these articles as I read them and stuff. I'm not gonna bother like grouping them all together. It's kind of nice bounce back and forth between topics just so don't get stale. Even though I tend to retread a lot of shit. Okay, FDA and what is the H? Department of Health and Human Services. Kind of curious why they have to specify human health services. Anyway, for failing to turn over documents related to the government's suppression of COVID-19 treatments, hydrochloric and ivermectin. So, when COVID started around, hydrochloric, hydroxychloroquine. I really hate chemical names. I really do. And ivermectin. Like, yeah, so the government suppressed all these so the government, every single government, honestly, suppressed all these alternate medical things that actually did prove to be effective. And they cracked down. It's like, yeah, you have to take the gene therapy, and you can't take these alternative things. You have to do what we say. And we've seen this bore out. This here was just a large experiment of like, okay, how far can we push the people? Unfortunately, people died. Let's see. Hydroxychloroquine, aka the shit. Yeah. And I'm just a little more familiar with ivermectin because of Joe Rogan's hullabaloo about it. But long story short of this here is that a lot of lawsuits are working their way through the system because doctors were on one hand certain doctors were denied being able to give their patients treatment, and on the other hand, people got hurt or died from the gene therapies and stuff. So it's a multi pronged legal front as far as this here shit goes. And we're honestly going to be hearing this for years, if not decades to come, because honestly, 2020 was fucking wild, and oh boy, the repercussions from that there are ongoing. Back to Boston. Okay, so the other day, the this bitch this bitch sent out a no whiteys allowed Christmas party invitation and stuff, and that got leaked. And it looks like she's backpedaling pretty hard, and everyone's kind of running damage control on this here. But much like what Kershey showed before, it's kind of funny that this here bitch has a white husband and kids, which makes things even more hilarious because it's like, oh, okay, she's all about this race shit and stuff. Let's look at the husband and kids. Funny how that works. Yeah, and of course, another guy on the council. On the other hand, Black Councilman Brian Worrell thinks that POC only events are just fine. We make space and spaces for all kinds of specific groups in the city and city government. Yeah, as long as you're not white, male, or Catholic. Eh, let's be real, it's the Northeast. You're going to be Catholic. Let's see. Meanwhile, despite not taking personal offense, Councilman Frank Baker viewed the exclusive party as an unwise decision, telling the Daily Mail he didn't see it as a good move given the heightened tensions in the city council. Yeah, no fucking shit. It's called bad optics. No standards every fucking time. I know. This is old hat for us. But a dumb bitch once said, everything is sexist, everything is racist, and you have to point it out. And by golly, I'm going to point it out every time I see it because this shit never fucking ends. Okay, this one gave me a little chuckle. Republican senator calls out companies for remaining on TikTok while boycotting X. There's still an ongoing hullabaloo between advertisers on X slash Twitter, but still having advertising on TikTok and Facebook and shit. You know, Facebook being the pedophile central, legitimately, unlike what they're saying about X, and TikTok being the, you know, the glorious psyop from the party known as the Chinese Communist Party. Of course, it's Rubio. It's always Rubio. Supposedly, companies are boycotting X out of concern that their brands could be tarnished by association with anti-Semitic content. Some users have been posting on the application. Oh boy, the anti-Semitism is flying everywhere. So it's kind of just like, okay, we're going to single out X, even though it's happening everywhere. You know, they're not fooling anyone. Due to your company's apparent concern for image on the social media, I was fascinated to learn that it maintains an active presence on TikTok, and he's just going down the list of companies that are virtue signaling. So like Airbnb, Amazon, Apple, Coca-Cola, Comcast, Disney, Google, IBM, Jack in the Box. Oh, that kind of hurts. Lionsgate, Microsoft, Netflix, Paramount, Sony Pictures, Uber, Walmart, Warner Bros., Discovery, and the Washington Post. Of course, fucking Washington Post. Yada yada yada, double standard, yada yada yada. I don't know. Same old, same old, same old. But again, you know, as long as there are some people, even if it's not from a completely earnest place, they're still pushing against it. So, you know, little victories. Oh, I got a good chuckle out of this one. Okay. Fuck you, Chris. Butter your own biscuit, fat ass. Kumo cursed out by girl with Tourette's. So, former CNN star Chris Cuomo, aka brother of the former governor of New York, interviewed a TikTok star with Tourette's syndrome on Tuesday night, and the nation was treated to a spectacle of the disgraced anchor being repeatedly cursed out and flipped off on his own show. Someone on the someone on the organization board of, you know, like his broadcast had to have known how this was going to pan out. It's like, okay, let's have someone with Tourette's on. What could possibly go wrong? And it went out exactly how you would expect. But I guess they were probably going for like a fluff piece of like, oh, this poor marginalized person and blah blah blah. But of course, we got entertained of her cursing him out and shit. So, you know, I'm okay with that. It's like, go fuck yourself, Chris. Little baby wiener, banana up your ass, butter your own biscuit, fat ass. I still love that one. Butter your own biscuit, fat ass. Oh god. Okay, I need that chuckle. Okay, this one was a little weird. Oakland coffee shop fires employees amid anti-Semitism accusations. Now, this one's a little dodgy because this is a clear case of he said, she said, in that apparently a Jewish woman was causing a ruckus because there was anti Semitic graffiti in the bathroom. And she was a little perturbed about that, but apparently she was causing shit beforehand. But the company wants to save face. So they fired the people involved, even though she might have been the one to start shit, because we've seen this before of, you know, like a black person say, you know, kill all niggers. But it turns out he wrote it, you know, like the Jussie Smollett kind of thing and stuff. So maybe she did it, maybe she didn't. It's a little dodgy. But again, I'm just kind of chuckling over the fact we're having another instance of, you know, the progressive stack kind of eating itself, which I'm all for. And of course, they put out a boilerplate statement. There is zero room in our business or anywhere in our community for speech or conduct that acts to other anyone based on a religion, ethnicity, nationality, skin color, sexual orientation, gender identity, or any other discriminatory basis. I need a drink. I can't get over this shit. I sentence her to get a thicker skin. Well, she's Jewish, so you know how thin skinned they are. Unless unless your name is like Mel Brooks, and nowadays the skin is pretty thin. Yeah, so apparently, since the incident, three more employees have resigned because that's this. It's this here line that kind of puts a little more water on the fire. In that, I have a feeling that she was self-reporting, false flagging, and stuff, and people got fired for no reason because this bent was causing a scene and stuff, and people are resigning after the fact, kind of lends credence to that. But I don't know, and I'm just speculating. Okay, I'm not gonna play this because Kirsty already played it and stuff. But Jill Biden had a bizarre Christmas video, and it looked like, honestly, if I'm being completely honest, it was like a minstrel. Like Jill Biden put out a literal minstrel show. It was fucking weird, and like these fucking costumes, and it's just like it was fucking weird. Well, the link is in the Discord if you want to go see it. If you haven't seen it already, it's just fucking weird. It was just weird, weird. It was like a Nutcracker tap dance kind of thing. It was just like, okay, fine, interpretive dance. Yeah, the non-crackers is this. Yeah, it's the one thing. It's just like they're all goofy and stuff. But honestly, the flower guy takes the cake. It's like, okay, sure. Uh, it was just weird. Okay. So back to respiratory illnesses, specifically the one coming out of China. So apparently okay. So apparently the new brand of coof that's coming out of China right now that's actually landed in at least Ohio. They're calling it white lung syndrome, which I imagine is what they're calling it because of how X-rays are showing up. If I had to hazard a guess. Reports of mystery respiratory illness in China are sparking fears of potential new pandemic. Cases are dubbing of what some are dubbing white lung syndrome have already reported in several U.S. states, invoking chilling memories of the early days of COVID 19. Health officials are racing to determine if this is simply an expected winter uptake of seasonal illnesses or if it could be a dangerous new pathogen. If the latter, implications could be profound. History repeating itself. How quickly could it spread? How can you protect yourself? Blah, blah, blah. We lived through this before. I commented earlier on previous streams of like it seems to be affecting kids mostly. Looks, like the usual suspects, as to say, government and health regulatory bodies are, salivating at the thought of a new pandemic and return of control. CDC highlights new vaccine options. You can go fuck yourselves. COVID shots linked to pneumonia. Surprise, surprise, because we're going to be covering this soon. Another article. We'll get to that when we get to that. Okay, back to the university one. Dem senator blocks GOP bill for 35% tax on university endowments. Now, the way university endowments right now goes, it's not really taxed because it's like, gift donations and stuff. But balls on the GOP for wanting to tax that shit and cut in onto the Ivy League's bottom line. In the wake of various recent scandals of elite universities, attention turned to their massive, largely untaxed, that's the key point, largely untaxed endowments. Senator J.D. Vance, Republican, Ohio, because of course he is, introduced a bill with a tax largest university endowments of 35%. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Tried to pass the bill by unanimous consent, only to be blocked by Democrat Ron Wyden of Oregon, because of course it's fucking Oregon. Blah blah blah. I don't know. At least they're trying. Maybe eventually it'll stick, but we'll see. Okay, back to the major subject of the stream at hand. COVID-19 can remain undetected in lungs for 18 months, a study shows. We already know this. We already know that long COVID is a thing, and that viral loads will remain in your system, uh, undetected in your lungs specifically, for a long ass time, and then resurge the instant your immune system takes a bit of the instant your system takes a nap. It's like business as usual for the virus. Let's see, blah blah blah. Preliminary results of the study show the virus was found in the lungs of some animals uh, animal models 6 to 18 months after infection. I've seen studies where they actually have human data and stuff. So this isn't magical numbers. This is actually happening. Looking for clues of formation of viral reservoirs, natural killer cells, or major. Yeah. So the scare with this here is that the immune system is not detecting these viral loads. That's why they're able to stay hidden in your body and then resurge at a later date and stuff, because your immune system is not detecting of like, okay, shit be here, yo. But this isn't exactly a scary COVID thing and stuff. This is just a quirk of your immune system. Your immune system, it doesn't go full tilt all the goddamn time. Because if your immune system were go full tilt all the goddamn time, it would be attacking healthy cells and stuff. So it's not like DEFCON 1 24/7. That's just not how biology works. I'm sure Emprey's Ravine could shed more light on this here, but that's the basic thing. Your immune system is not balls out all the time, and of course because of that, their shit's going to fall through the cracks. That's just the way it is. Okay, so this is some good news. After affirmative action win over Harvard, group takes on West Point. So there was I remember reading this. I don't know if I've covered it yet, but this is a fallout of the admissions scandal. So the admissions scandal was the uh, whiteys and Asians need not apply unless you are brown or black. That admissions scandal. So it looks like group triumphed in a landmark Supreme Court case that struck down affirmative actions policies at Harvard University earlier this year. Hopes to build on a victory with lawsuits targeting similar policies at U.S. Military Academy at West Point. West Point being the top military college. It's the officers' college for the states, and it's very woke there even before Biden got into power. Like I remember, I'm sure some of you might remember the communist guy there. Who the communist power fist Che Guevara shirt, and like praise communism under his diploma hat. That guy. That was this place. Since President Joe Biden took office, a marked cultural shift has been underway in virtually all branches of the military. Yep, recruitment's all-time low. I wonder why. President Biden's general DEI stance makes the SFA litigation one of the most impactful lawsuits so far undertaken against the military institution in modern history. It's just kind of going over the emissions scandal. It's the same failed argument that the government has made about leadership and diversity at Harvard and UNSC cases. Yada, yada, yada. The Supreme Court now requires evidence of concrete harm to qualify for Article 3 standing. Yeah, so they won their court case against Harvard, and they're going after West Point, and going after West Point would be a major victory because that is a legitimate like government university. So meritocracy is dead. Long live meritocracy, mediocrity. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, back to Florida. Transgender teachers in Florida sue over pronoun law. So Florida has been cracking down on the troon shit. However, they're still empowered, that is to say, still employed in Florida schools and universities and stuff, and they're pushing back on the "oh, I'm being misgendered" shit and stuff. So it looks like a bunch of troons are getting together and look like they're going to throw a case at the Florida at the Floridian government, and yeah, I have a feeling you're not going to win that one. Okay, whatever. Okay, this one was a little. Okay, this one was not surprising, but it's refreshing to actually see evidence. Okay, so Breitbart exposes security gaps. Migrants board planes without IDs at Tucson Airport. So it looks like Breitbart, Texas went. So a recent investigation conducted by Breitbart, Texas at Tucson International Airport in Arizona has brought to light significant concerns regarding border security and migrant processing. While the rest of us have to wait in endless lines and will definitely miss our flights if we've forgotten IDs, migrants released by Border Patrol were observed boarding U.S. flights without standard identification required for most travelers. Now, the system so far as it was is that when their catch and release program, the Border Patrol takes a photo of, takes their picture and makes official documents saying, okay, we've bagged and tagged this one, and this is their ID. But it looks like even that is not being used to ID verify them before getting on planes and shipping off the parts unknown kind of thing. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that you know security is this lax. I mean, just look at their fucking border at this point. Source says capacity issues facing the border patrol and need to quickly release the migrants pose a significant risk to national security. No fucking shit. The migrant and family members were later encountered attempting to board aircraft by TSA security screening personnel at Palm Springs International Airport. Despite the second encounter by their Department of Homeland Security personnel, the migrants were ultimately able to travel to Tampa, Florida, and were not rearrested by ICE for more than 2 weeks. It's like, what can you do? Shit be fucked. Okay, let's hear. Okay, so this is a little more light, enheartening. I like this one. French President Macron humiliated after shady immigration bill stopped cold. Now, what happened here is that his party tried to push through a bill to again loosen immigration and all that shit and stuff. So left will do what the left does and weaken their borders and let the barbarians in. Now, unfortunately for us, unfortunately for them, this here got stopped cold like damn near unanimously, including members of his own party voted against the bill that was tabled and stuff, and it was revoked with such a high percentage and stuff that this is unseen, and that historically, if a bill is shot down this hard, usually someone will resign to save face. That's how bad it was. I just like this line. In a rare admission that by the Ministerial Statistical Department for Internal Security, they reported the 69 nice violent robberies and other violent crimes, which include sexual assaults occurring on public transport in the Greater Paris region of Ile-de-France, were committed by individuals who are foreign nationals. More comprehensive reports like this are impossible to come by from the whole of France, but what happens in Paris is probably a reflection of most cities in the nation. No shit. So you conservatives claim a win because the bill would have made it easier for migrants to get work visas, which they argue would only incentivize more legal immigration, and any migrants that do get expelled from the country through the new law could simply re-enter within days. So yeah, they pretty much wanted to put a bill that would make the revolving door that more revolving. But it got stopped cold, and fingers crossed. As much as we pick on the French, the tide needs to turn everywhere, including the strongholds, including the left strongholds. The tide needs to turn. So it's little things like this here we need to praise. He won't resign. He's too well connected for it to affect him in a significant way. Maybe it'll take a toll on his ego. Yeah, it's the Justin Trudeau problem and stuff. Like these guys are so high, high from huffing their own farts, and they have enough of a support network in that. Yeah, they're not. Macron's not going to go anywhere. I know, but the fact of the matter is there is pushback starting, and I'm all for it. That's what needs to be said. There is a pushback, and it's starting, and we're in for the long game here. Okay, this is more of an opinion piece essay kind of thing. So, would the U.S. intervene to defend Guyana's oil? So, long story short, Venezuela did a sham vote and want to pull a Russia and annex a good chunk of Guyana, specifically their offshore oil and gas fields. And this is a thought essay from a think tank, kind of doing a breakdown of the feasibility and potential of a U.S. intervention. Long story short, yes. If anything, if shit goes down, you bet the U.S. will intervene, because the CIA will do what the CIA does when it comes to South America. Let's be honest, shit hasn't changed. Shit will never change. South America is run by the CIA. Let's not kid ourselves. Yada yada yada. It's largely giving the historical context for the conflict, and historical context, what's going on right now, and potentially how things are going to fall out. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but this is gonna be in the news for a while, and it's probably going to pop off sooner than later. Okay, speaking of white pills, ex FBI intel chief who investigated, air quotes, Trump Russia collusion gets 4 years prison for colluding with Russia. Projection. Holy shit. A former top FBI official who led the agency's New York counterintelligence division and played a key role in the Trump Russia collusion probe has been sentenced to 4 years in prison for colluding with Russia. Surprise. And he may face even longer sentence under a second indictment for hiding $225,000 in payments from a former Albanian intelligence officer. Go big or go home. Holy shit. Charles McGonigal, 55, was arrested in January and slapped with 2 separate indictments, one in New York and one in Washington, with the New York case related to taking nearly $200,000 in bribes from the Russian oligarch Oleg V. Deripaska to investigate a rival oligarch, and the Washington case concerned Albanian money. Yeah. Of course it was fucking Albania. Of course the fucking Albanian was involved. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's, again, we need to take these small victories. We need to take these small victories wherever we can get them. Again, I wasn't surprised by hearing this. It's more refreshing to hear about it. It's like, of course he was colluding with Russia, and of course he got caught. But the fact he got caught and convicted, hey, baby steps. Mr. McGonigal's work on the oligarch's behalf, obscured by the use of shell companies and subcontractors involved seeking information about Mr. Putin's business. The ultimate goal prosecutor said was to cause sanctions to be placed on Mr. Potentially leveling the playing field for with Mr. Derry Pasca. But the plot unraveled within months after the FBI seized Mr. McGonigal's cell phone and other associates. Sergei of course it was Sergei. Okay, I don't know. Small victories. I'm gonna mute myself because I got blow my nose. Mute. Unmute your button. OBS. Why button so small? The fuck notification. Okay, live update. So, gym streaming today. Stream will be on YouTube tonight starting at 7 p.m. CST, 8 p.m. EST. Merch store has been also updated with new items for sale as well as over at Medicare, myshopify.com. See you all tonight. Post the link hour before it goes live. All right, so you're here first. 8 EST, 7 CST. Gym stream. Be there or be gay. Or Ralph. I've covered this before, but this is a little update. So Costco sold over $100 million worth of gold bars last quarter. Now this seems impressive, but so Costco has been selling little gold wafers and stuff, but unfortunately you're limited to a couple per account. So they sold a lot, but it was a lot over a lot of customers. But it's still interesting that they're even selling them at all. It's kind of like the state of clown world. That fucking Costco gold is making bank. I get my line of work, I'm all for it. So yeah, it's just a little update. The Costco, the gold wafer sales are doing good. I prefer Walmart Great Value gold bars myself. Yeah, we call that the aluminum foil. A little geology history. Okay, a little geology history lesson. That joke is in my mind. So back in the day, aluminum was actually worth more than gold for a time because there was no real gold. There was no real aluminum deposits to mine back in the day, and there still really isn't and stuff. And aluminum was worth more than gold. And that's uh, fun fact: the top at the top of the Washington Monument is on top of the tip is a pyramid of aluminum, which was one of the most expensive metals at the time. But nowadays, aluminum is literally dirt cheap because that's how we mine it. So in South America, Central America, pretty much all throughout the tropics, there are known as bauxite deposits. Bauxite being the ore mineral for aluminum. Now, bauxite. The problem is, so you hear every time it's like they're slashing and burning the rainforest, not just for farmland, also for mining. So what they'll do is that they'll strip mine the topsoil, which is full of bauxite, aka aluminum, and that's why we have cheap aluminum now because all they do is fucking slash and burn and strip mine topsoil. But the problem is, you remove the topsoil, then you start having problems. But unfortunately, industry being what industry is, it's going to be ongoing long after we're gone. But that is why aluminum is cheap now. That was my geology quota for today. Okay, so next. Biden tells federal employees to use electric vehicles and trains on official travels. I wonder if he's gonna stop using his fucking private plane. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna predict that he's not. Same with the other higher ups. The little servants, like the little slaves that work in government. Yes, you must take your EVs and take the trains, but I, the enlightened savior, shall take my private jet. Many such cases. Many such cases. But yeah, that's pretty much the boil down. It's like, the wages shall do as they're told, but their betters won't reciprocate. Many such cases. Many such cases. Next. Okay, this gave me a chuckle. They're going to fly him around in a battery powered radio control plane. Yeah, yeah. Give him one of those little beanie caps with the propeller, because that's all he's worth at this point. Okay, Illinois uh, NAACP president apologizes, then blames AI deepfake after referring to immigrants as savages. Ever since the Biden administration began busing thousands of migrants to Chicago, the city's black community has been less enthusiastic about their new neighbors. No fucking shit. Use the exploding scooter. Meanwhile, they would be fine putting a cruise ship on the plane. Okay. All right, focus. All of a sudden, we have deep pockets for people who don't pay taxes, said one resident during a May town hall. I understand helping people, but you have to start with your own home. Savages, rapists, burglars. Insert the Pocahontas song here. Savages, savages. In today's episode, Left Eating Its Own, meet Chicago's NAACP president, Teresa Haley, who took things one step further in the league Zoom call, because of course it was on fucking Zoom, from October, which she likened immigrants to savages, rapists, and burglars. But these immigrants come over here, and they've been raping people. They've been breaking into homes. They're like savages as well. They don't speak the language. They look at us like we're crazy because we're the only people in America who were brought over here against their will, and we're slaves. Yes. Yes, you were. Can we send you back now, too, please? Pretty please. I'm trying not to be a nigga. Yeah, it's like this meant. It's like, I'm trying not to be a nigga. You know, I'm pro-black, so it's all about us, people. NAACP. What do these letters mean to you? Springfield, Peoria, Bloomington, Kentucky. Just get ready if you declare yourself to be safe haven or a safe place for immigrants to come, because they're shopping around and busloads are coming, she said during a different segment of the tape. Black people have been on the streets forever and ever. Nobody cares. While the government is rushing to provide housing for other services to immigrants, she said. Haley's comment drew harsh rebuke from Governor J.B. Pritzker. Reprehensible remarks. I would hope that she would apologize for remarks. I also think that people should recognize the immigrants of this country are all around us. Haley did apologize, but then after she was tracked down on vacation. Okay, you can't make this shit up. You honestly can't make this shit up. Haley did apologize, but then after she was tracked down on vacation in Dubai by Chicago ABC station WLS TV, she suggested it was a deepfake, saying with AI anything is possible. Yes, it was Loeb. Loeb made me say those nasty words. Clearly, it was the machine. Haley's comments sparked resignation and what? Haley's comments sparked resignation in Patrick Watson, who until recently was the president of DuPage County branch of the NAACP. I think she should absolutely resign. I think she's unfit to be president. The state president of the NAACP. That fucking thing. Someone that has that kind of sentiment and that kind of thought against migrant communities, he said. Clearly taken out of context. Clearly taken out of context. And of course, the new branch president, Michael Chalvers, says Haley's comment were taken out of context, adding these comments are not indicative of what the NAACP stands for. But again, I'm not going to speak on behalf of Teresa Haley and say she should or shouldn't resign or things like that. Calls a step down. Of course, she runs a company that provides training programs to help individuals grow personally and professionally, according to the website. Of course, she has a high title. What really gets me is it was taken out in context, but it was obviously deep fake. Don't believe your lying eyes and ears. I'm just waiting for his AI defense to be used against someone's bank statements. Yeah, actually, I don't think I have this article lined up. I remember seeing an article the other day or this morning where, I shit you not, there are actually fake finger rings. Like, you put on a ring and it has like a fake finger on it. So you have, like, 6 or 7 fingers on your hand. And I shit you not, the selling pitch for this here fake finger ring is, the if you wear it and stuff and you get caught on camera doing something, you can say, "Oh, it's a deep fake. There's one too many fingers." I shit you not. Actually, I'm gonna look for it. Actually, it's better. Fake finger ring product. Okay, I'm finding it, but I want to find the article I saw. Okay, it's probably as good as I'm gonna get. LOL, criminals will start wearing extra prosthetic fingers to make surveillance footage look like it's AI generated and thus inadmissible as evidence. And yeah, I think it was on Reddit where I saw this. So yeah, so apparently this is a thing now. It's ingenious. This is like one of those on top market things. It's like, get in on the ground floor. This is going to do gangbusters. uh, Okie Update on the satanic Christmas display. Oh no, satanic goat skull display in Iowa state capitol is destroyed. Who could have foreseen this coming? So the Giga Chat in question, it's like, this is Michael Cassidy. He's a devout Christian and former military officer. Michael just tore down and beheaded the Satan idol that was erected in the Iowa Capitol. Not all heroes wear capes. Look at that Giga Chad. Look at him. Be amazed at the balls to actually do the bare minimum in this day and age. I am shocked. Shocked, I say. because you have to look at the display. It's just like a stand, a cape, a pentagram wreath, candles, and like a fake ghost skull on the mannequin and stuff. So it's just like, I kind of just imagine he just waltzed. I just imagine he just like Giga Chad like strutted, like Levi walk strutted up to it and just fucking backhanded the fucking goat head off and just like wreck shit. I like to believe that's how it played out. uh, oh god. I don't know. It's one of those little victory things. I need that. Okay. We return to the realm of this shouldn't fucking surprise anyone, but fake vendors and cash kickbacks. Ex Facebook DEI manager stole more than 4 million. An elaborate criminal scheme. A former diversity manager at Facebook has pleaded guilty to stealing more than 400 million from the company in what the Justice Department is saying is an elaborate scheme involving fake vendors and cash kickbacks. So largely what this is that long story short for this here is that Facebook sunk a lot of money into their ESG shit, and what this here person did was they funneled that money into effectively fake companies. You know how this here goes. Just make up a fake company. It's like, oh, we're going to donate all this money to this company, and like, oh, it looks good, diversity, equity, inclusion, blah blah blah, and it looks like this person was able to grift 4 million. That's honestly all it comes down to it. Not a good look for Facebook, I'll say. Not a good look for Facebook. Something, an idiot and his money, something. I don't know. Even when they work on one of the biggest companies, they can't help but stick their hands up the cash till. I don't know. At least the mob is honest. This year is kind of just like, I'm the good guy. It's like, no, you're not. You're not fooling anyone. Fuck off. Speaking of the mob, New York Post says Harvard made legal threats over his plagiarism probe into Claudine Gay. So this bent again. So apparently, allegedly, that the New York Post got a bunch of really strongly worded letters saying, "Do not run this piece." And of course, the New York Post will do what the New York Post does and say, "Hey, we got threatened." Not a good look for them. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised because literally, it is a mob. It is a racket. It's a con. Of course, their lawyers are going to sound like, "Oh, we're going to sue you for defamation and libel." It's like fuck off, just fuck off. I don't know. It's like what's there more to say? They tried to strong arm the New York Post. Fuck these guys. Okay, a little tangent back to Venezuela and Guyana. So Venezuela and Guyana, I'm gonna do my biggest air quotes that you can't see. I really need like an air quotes animation. Pledge not to use force in territorial dispute. I I I trust Maduro not to invade as much as I trust Z not to invade or Putin not to invade. Uh, Shit's gonna go down eventually. It's just a matter of when. Let's not get ourselves. And all of this is just like, oh yeah, we're totally gonna be a big friendly and chummy about this. Yeah, sure, yeah, yeah. I got a bridge in Brooklyn. You want it? I can sell it for you cheap. Oh, this one filled my black heart with so much joy. My black heart overflowed, grew 3 sizes that day with utter joy. Death to pedos. DeSantis supports execution for sexual battery against children under 12. That's literally it. While California lawmakers are trying to protect pedophiles, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Thursday threw support behind the state's decision to seek the death penalty for a man indicted on sexual battery of a child. Yes, and actually, don't even bring back lethal injection or the chair. Just fire up that wood chipper, Florida. You know you have to fire up them wood chippers. Do God's work. I know it's kind of one of those disgusting things. If an individual rapes an 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, and 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, they should be subject to a death penalty. Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. I believe we're all with you on that one. Uh, it's likely the first time in modern history the prosecutors will seek the death penalty for such an act. Long overdue, if we're being honest. Trump and DeSantis on the same page. You fucking better be. Okay. Kill all pedos. A campaign we can believe in. Okay, back to Harvard. Okay, boycott Harvard. Early applications plunge 17% as hate fills leftist campus. Okay, so between the emissions scandal a while back and the congressional hearing fallout that happened the other week and stuff, and the like the donators and alumni threatening to pull money, Ivy leagues are kind of going to be on life support soon. I almost said death support. um, so there's been a bad look, especially after the emissions scandal from the other year. But now with this here, with the 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 Palestine Israel thing kicking off, and the emission with everything going on right now, admissions to Harvard have dropped. This is not surprising because people are waking up to the alternatives. So just take a trade or just start work. You don't need, because I covered the other stream of the fact that they are inflating the grades. So if everyone gets an A, then what's the fucking point? Or if you are a diversity hire, you didn't earn it. So the degrees that these guys are putting out are becoming worthless. So of course, obviously, people are not going to apply if you're going to get a worthless degree. That's just how it works. Supply and demand. And blah 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 blah. And you know, I'm not surprised this is happening. I hope more. I imagine it's going to ramp up with time, and we're probably going to see. I'm all for it. The term force will be determined at the later date. Yep. Actually, back to the border. Mm-hmm. We're just Uber drivers. Border agents say America is being destroyed. The border patrol is losing people. Like the morale is at all time low because they're getting told from higher ups, you can't do your job. And literally, what the guy says, you are just Uber drivers to get them to the processing centers, so they can get shipped off to where they need to go. And wide open border, you cease being a country. Simple as. And it's just kind of going over like a bunch of case studies, and morale hits rock bottom. Border feel 100% betrayed by Mayorkas and the Biden administration, and just shit sucks. It sucks. But yeah, that's a thing. Okay, I alluded to the EMP thing before. So this shit does not get nearly as much press as I would like. Me being a earth science nerd, I am well aware of coronal mass ejections, which are big balls of highly charged particles that the sun periodically farts out that can totally fuck over our civilization as we know it. Earth blasted with X class flare, sparking largest solar radio event ever recorded. This is shit that should keep you up at night, because if here's the thing. Uh, the sun can fart out a really big cloud of ion gas, like charged particles and stuff. But if it doesn't hit us, it's not a worry. The worry is if there's a big enough blast, and we get the full broadside. If we get the broadside of it and stuff, that will fry. That will fry all of our satellites, all of our computers, all our cars, like we will literally go back to the Stone Age. Okay, all you need is one bad day, and humanity is just royally fucked. Let's see. The National Oceans Aeronautical Administration Space Weather Prediction Center reported a massive solar flare in the northwest part of the sun on Thursday evening that caused one of the largest solar radio events ever recorded. Yeah, so it looked like South and Central America and Southern United States got. I pity anyone using a GPS during that time. Uh, I think I told the story before. Like our mapping lab in geology, specifically our GPS lab and stuff. I forget what year it was. It was either 2004 or 2005. Either way, one of those years, it was the largest. It was the largest solar event for like the decade, kind of thing and stuff. And we happened to be doing a GPS lab on that day, so all of our data was totally screwed. So we had to use last year's information for that particular lab because all the information was out to lunch. But that's just given bad information. You know, a bad enough explode like a large enough discharge aimed right at us would do far worse than just giving you bad information. It would literally fry wires. Like the Carrington event back in the 1800s and stuff, that shit literally melted telegraph wires. Like telegraph wires literally melted. That's how strong the current charge was. And given how sensitive our electronics are nowadays and stuff, and most of it's not shielded, oh boy. So anytime something like this happens, I will get on my soapbox and scream. It's like this shit is important. This is like literal species destruction level shit. It's like we need to pay attention to stuff. It's like the giant meteor kind of thing. It's like the giant meteors thing. It's like we potentially have the means to detect and maybe do something or at least prepare for a situation like this here, but we're not. And this is one of those things that really pisses me off. I remember some video of a guy saying these solar flare events were man-made for reasons. Yeah, I'm sure he also says that the earth is flat and hollow and we didn't land on the moon. The frogs are gay. But as far as those things go, it's like, man-made solar flares. That's I'm not gonna lie. Man-made solar flares. That's a new one for me because I use like I consider these woo-woo like legitimately like batshit insane conspiracy theory stuff. Like the really big stupid stuff. I find interesting and amusing. But that's a new one for me. Okay, I got 30 minutes. Almost at the end. Back to COVID. Brazil to mandate COVID-19 shots for kids as young as 6 months. This is shit pisses me off. So we're getting a lot of like new data with every year saying this shit doesn't work and this shit like I covered last week or last stream I forget, but I covered an article before of saying like the cost benefit analysis of this shit does more harm than good, and even the good it does is a little wishy washy. And there are still places out there that are like still gung ho about this shit and stuff. It's like, yeah, okay, let's hamstring our kids because fuck them. And I don't know. I will point out this shit as it comes up, and I'm just gonna just give the blurb on it. Is like this shit is vile. Oh, what's this? Okay, GM Cruise to slash 24% of its workforce as part of restructuring. Okay, so this cruise, so this is GM's autonomous vehicle subsidiary, and it looks like with a lot of self-driving car crashes as of late and stuff, and the tide is kind of turning on the opinion of self-driving cars. So I'm not overly surprised that they are dialing back and curbing redundancies in the labor force for something that obviously is not going to make them money and has only been a liability thus far. So what more can I say? I'm going to jump around the last two. Okay, back to COVID. Pfizer mRNA vaccine makes aberrant proteins, because I mentioned this earlier, uh, makes aberrant proteins, experts concerned that about autoimmunity events. Now, okay, okay, here's the thing. with this gene therapy shit and stuff. It is a gene therapy, and it is designed to replicate a certain protein thing. But here's the thing: no coding is ever perfect and stuff. And what the problem with this here man-made gene therapy shit and stuff is, it's the law of unintended consequences. In that, this rush job of a gene therapy, uh, surprise, surprise, has a shit ton of coding errors. And when you have a coding error and it makes an aberrant protein, that aberrant protein can go off to do really harmful shit. One example of a naturally occurring aberrant protein is known as prions. And we know what prions does. That causes your brain to turn into Swiss cheese and you go crazy and die. But you can also have shit like this here where it would, like, for example, an aberrant protein were to get to your immune system and your immune system were to go like DEFCON 1 and start attacking it and say, like, oh, like we have cancer going on and, shit like that. Or, again, like this protein can go off and like fuck up a cell and, make a cancer cell. The sky, what I'm getting at is the sky's the limit when it comes to coding errors, especially coding errors that make new protein. Making proteins that were never intended to be made, kind of thing. DNA's just got spaghetti code. Yeah, but spaghetti code that we really shouldn't be fucking with. Call me a grown-up kid. 1993 Jurassic Park did really put the fear of God in me when it comes to genetic engineering. And I don't just mean making monsters. I mean, like, I was originally going to go into biology. I know the shit going in. So it's like, yes, I know it's a gene therapy. It's a rushed gene therapy that was never, like tested or studied or anything. So it's just like, I'm preaching to the choir, but you know what I mean. Misdirected immunity and autoimmunity, blah, blah, blah. But yeah. So it's like, surprise, surprise, the gene therapy is having unintended consequences. And one of those unintended consequences is being generating rogue proteins. Shocking. Okay, last article. And I gotta go pee before Kershey. All right. Oh, God. No, wait. Okay. Yeah, I was going to bounce around. Okay. Ending on fucking Zuckerberg. Come on. Don't you bastard. Okay. I've been following this shit for a while, but I think this is the first instance of me talking about it and stuff. So, for those who don't know, I am a disaster preparedness individual. You want to call me a survivalist? You want to call me a prepper? I don't care. But I follow the this here sector as far as survivalism, end of the world shit, and all that crap. I'm a prepared doomer, and I will outlast you all. So God help me. But Mark Zuckerberg building top secret Hawaii doomsday bunker with blast resistant doors. I heard about this before, and it's been a while since I've seen an update on this. So, uh, for those who don't know, the lizard man himself, Zuckerberg, has been buying out acres upon acres of the surrounding property around his Hawaiian mansion, and he's also been installing a doomsday bunker. And everyone who's worked on his doomsday bunker has signed an NDA. I imagine with Facebook lawyers to the point of, if you say anything, you are going to fucking regret it. NDAs aren't really that scary, but it depends the terms and conditions they slap on you. I imagine one of the world's richest man's quote unquote man. I imagine those NDAs are probably scary. But getting back to the point of, he's not the only one. He's not the only rich guy who's building a doomsday bunker. And here's the thing with these doomsday bunkers: it's not for the zombies, it's not for the meteor, it's not for a super volcano. These here bunkers for the global elites are because the peasants are going to rise and it's going to be bloody. That's what these here bunkers are for. When the peasants revolt against the powers that be, it's gonna be bloody. And I imagine some. Here's the thing. I know some of these here doomsday bunkers probably have like like hidden back doors. Maybe not like hidden tunnels or anything, but I'm sure the security is compromised for the guys who install it, because like the guys who are installing this here knows what's going on. So it's just like, well, I know where this here bunker is, and I know it's gonna have a lot of supplies and shit. So when the shit hits the fan, it's like knock knock knock. It's like, hey Mark, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Neighbor, pal, buddy, friend. That's how I imagine that's gonna pan out. Oh yeah. Got through that with about 20 minutes spare. Okay. Um. Yep. So Kershey at the top of the hour. Gym at 8 EST. Was it 8? Yes. 8 EST is going to be Jim. I doubt Pippa's going to stream. If she does, well, I'm recording it anyway, so who cares? Yep. Okay. I need to go use the washroom, grab a snack. So, thanks for coming. Probably going to stream on Monday for the news as usual. The fact that I've developed a schedule kind of pisses me off at this point. Eh, whatever. I'm having fun doing this. So, thanks for coming. I am still not sold on the Atsuzilla they're pouring, but I appreciate the sentiment. Thanks for coming. Take it easy, and see you guys later. Peace.